Molly knew that this was true. She knew also that she was falling in love with Whistler, and laid her head on his shoulder and snuggled closer to him. "I'm glad that I'm not a real piggy after all," she whispered. After a while Whistler said, "Tell you what, let's go to Toy Town Ball together. There's a beauty contest tonight, and you're sure to win it." "Oh," said Molly, I've never been to a ball. Oh, how wonderful!" And she squealed with delight, then broke off in dismay. "Oh, how silly of me! I can't go," she remarked. "Why ever not?" said Whistler. "I've no money. The Red Witch took it all that I had, and that turned out to be a foreign coin and a worthless button. I can't go." And Molly started to weep. "Of course you can go," said Whistler. "I've enough money for both of us. I'm rather a rich pig, you know." And with that Whistler jumped up and down to allow Molly to hear the jingling of all the coins that he had saved up for such an occasion as this. Molly wiped her tears away and felt very happy as the two went on their journey together to the ball. On the way Whistler played his tune whilst Molly did her best to hum to the sound of his music. On the way to the ball Molly saw lots and lots of interesting folk, and all of them seemed to know Whistler. "Hello, Whistler," said a jovial round-shaped fellow. "Who's your pretty lady friend, then?" Molly blushed again, but the fellow was gone before Whistler could reply. "Who was that?" asked Molly. "Oh, that's Ernie Easter-egg," replied Whistler. "You know, at one time Ernie wanted to be a real egg, so you've got a lot in common, haven't you?" Another stranger bounded by, and as he did so he shouted his greeting. "That's Jack-in-the-Box," said Whistler. "He likes to be the first to arrive at the ball." "Oh," replied Molly, "how fast he can go." Presently the crowds grew more and more. All manner of folk joined the others. There were Easter bunnies, teddy bears, Chinese spinning tops, and dolls of all nations with lovely dresses. A clockwork car sped by with a wooden policeman in it, and this was followed by a fire engine, and one of the firemen rang the bell as it travelled along. Whistler started to play his tune, and everyone started to sing. Molly felt very proud of Whistler. "Oh," she thought, "what have I been missing all these years?" She was happier than she'd ever been, and said to herself how silly she had been wanting to be a real piggy. The magic of the day was even greater when they reached the ballroom. It was held in a lovely fairy-tale castle with a real drawbridge that went up and down. Toy soldiers stood at the entrance and on the battlements to attention, and some even banged on drums. Whistler paid for their tickets at the gate, and they entered the great hall. Molly gasped. She'd never seen anything so beautiful in all her life. She gazed about her. The walls and ceiling were made of pink candy, and lemon sherbet lamps hung on frosted sugar chains from the ceiling. Here and there were pillars of barley sugar, and the staircase was made of solid nougat, all pink and white. There was a large table at the one end that held a variety of refreshments, and behind this, on a platform, was a band of soldiers, all in red jackets. Molly wondered why everyone was standing around the ballroom. "Why doesn't anyone dance?" she whispered. "They're waiting for the King and Queen to arrive," Whistler replied. Molly squealed with excitement. "I had no idea that they would be coming." "Oh, yes," replied Whistler. "They always come to such places. Ah, here they come now." Everyone had started cheering and clapping. Molly was very excited. She almost burst. A huge glass coach had drawn up, and Molly could see the king and queen getting out. A fanfare of trumpets sounded as the royal couple entered. "How beautiful!" said Molly. "How beautiful!" As the king and queen passed by, everyone bowed or curtsied, and as they walked by Molly, Molly gracefully curtsied. As she did so, she noticed that the queen smiled at her and gave a little nod. "Oh, how wonderful, wonderful," Molly said to Whistler. "The queen nodded to me." Whistler smiled and said, "That's because you are so pretty. Everyone wonders who you are." The dance began, led by the king and queen. Molly danced until her trotters ached, but then the beauty contest was announced. All of the contestants walked onto the platform and waited for the judge to begin. "Go on, Molly, go on. Go and join them, or you'll be too late," Whistler urged. "Well, I can't," said Molly. Whistler replied firmly, "Of course you can," and gave Molly a gentle push towards the platform. Molly shyly took her place with the other contestants and waited. The judge, who was wearing a tall hat that was much too small for him, walked up and down with his hands behind him. And then, suddenly, he stood in front of Molly and gave a short cough. He announced, "First prize for the most beautiful of the evening must go to Everyone craned forward so as not to miss the important announcement. "The winner is Molly Moneypig." To another fanfare of trumpets, the judge led Molly onto a pedestal to receive her prize from the queen, who then presented Molly with a large silver cup and said, "Well done, Molly." "Oh, thank you, Your Majesty," said Molly, so happy that she was close to tears. Everyone was clapping and cheering, and the king was smiling too, so Molly blushed again, her prettiest blush. Then, after light refreshments, it was on with the dance, and of course Molly had lots of requests for dances, but she'd saved all of them for Whistler. The couple danced round and round and up and down, and Molly hoped that it would last forever. She gazed up at the chandelier and at Whistler, and she spun around the floor and looked up again at the chandelier, which had begun to glow and became larger and larger. And suddenly the music faded, and Molly found herself back in the nursery amongst all her friends. There was Jack in the Box, Teddy Bear, Golly, the toy soldiers, dollies, and all the others. They were all there, especially Whistler. Molly knew that this was where she belonged, and so she lived there happily ever after.